Hey friends, it's Joni with Three Feathers Spiritual Wisdom, and I'm here with a video on the astrology of July. I'm trying something a little different. I'm shaking things up a bit because I haven't been consistent and I want to be consistent about putting out more astrology videos. So, due to the time and the amount of time I have in my life in juggling a full-time job that pays the mortgage and all my bills versus Three Feathers Spiritual Wisdom, my business that I would love and dream and hope and pray becomes the full-time job. Maybe it's more of a job when I'm retired, but um I'm thinking that doing a monthly video at the beginning of the month and then picking out a couple of things to do more in-depth video of a couple of aspects and throughout the month rather than trying to do the weekly when I just don't have time. So here we go. We'll see if that works. I hope that it does, because there's some really interesting things, and maybe this will help in my schedule. So let's dive into what July is full of some significant astrology. The first thing up is July 3rd. I have my notes in front of me, so every once in a while I will look down so I don't forget something. July 3rd, which is Monday, we are going to have a full moon in Capricorn at 11 degrees. This full moon, as you know, full moons are about completion. It's the completion or the climax of the lunar cycle. And after that, we kind of go down until 2 weeks later, we will have a new moon start all over again with a new cycle. It's the climax of the moon, it's the fullness of something, it's the completion of something. It's where we actually look at something and see, okay, do we need to make adjustments with this? This full moon in Capricorn, okay, Capricorn is the sign. It's an earth sign. It's a sign of practicality, of getting a lot of work done. It is that it's the sign of structures. It's the sign of government structures. It's a sign of responsibility. It's ruled by Saturn, so responsibility and hard work are signatures of that sign. Um, and so it's not uh, it is not out of the realm of possibilities that there's some sort of uh, governmental control kind of thing going on here too. Um, so uh, Capricorn, sign of Capricorn is usually connected to the societal structures. That's what I want to say, societal structures. So, what is going on with a full moon in Capricorn at 11 degrees? 11 degrees is a karmic number as well. It's 1111. We see 11. It is the sign. I take it as a sign of the angels and spirits saying, love you, support you. So that's really interesting. Uh, I think there's something coming to a head in the collective, in the government wise. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it with this past week with the decisions the Supreme Court has put out. We're seeing it with all what's happening around indictments of a former president and upheavals in our own society. And it's meant to happen, by the way, people. It's meant to happen with Pluto also now back in Capricorn. It is meant to happen that there is upheaval, that there is change. And anyway, I could go on and on about that and stuff. And maybe I'll do a video about that too. So, what is a couple of aspects to this full moon? There's a positive aspect and connection to Jupiter, which is in Taurus. So, that's about abundance and gifts and what we are given. And we're given this opportunity, perhaps, to examine our feelings and structure around our abundance and how we make that abundance in our lives. And then there's another aspect, which is an opposition to Mercury in Cancer. Capricorn and Cancer are the opposite duality signs together. One is about the self and its public self, and Cancer is about the family. So there is this issue between the world of career and work and the world of family. And so that may come up to your attention and consciousness during the full moon. The next thing I want to talk about is what's happening in July 6 to 9. Mars, which is in Leo, Mars is a fire planet. Happy to be in Leo, the fire sign. Mars is that passion, the energy, wanting us to go forward, pushing us. It is aggression. It is sexual energy. Um, it is in an inconjunct, or another way to say it, a quincunx, to Neptune in Pisces. And then in a couple of days later, it will be in an inconjunct with Pluto, which is in Capricorn. So over those 4 days, July 6th through the 9th, Mars is in difficult aspects with both Neptune and Pluto. Neptune is going to cause the confusion. So maybe Mars is confused about which way to go forward. And in terms of Pluto, there could be control issues. Pluto is about power and power, control, death, birth, rebirth, transformation. So there's some confusion here. There's some confusion here. There's some ungrounded energy. So those days may be, I wouldn't make firm decisions on those days. That, that's what I'm getting from that is don't, if you feel stalled, just wait. Don't worry about it. Don't do anything. Just chill. Just chill as Mars gets through these inconjuncts to those two planets. Because Neptune is going to obscure the thinking, cloud the thinking. You're not going to be able to make a good decision. So just don't. Um, then on July 10th, Mars again moves signs, moves into Virgo. Now, this is interesting because Virgo is about details, detail oriented. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. It's all about the details. So, the when I was making my list of these, this is what came clairvoyantly in my mind when I wrote this aspect down was Mars rolling up its sleeves and getting to work. So there, after this confusion of the 4 days, July 6th through the 9th, some clarity moves when that is done and moves out, and Mars moves into Virgo, which changes the aspects again. There is this clarity. Okay, so don't worry about the 6th through the 9th of having some downtime in terms of thinking and decision making. That's going to come with Mars moving into Virgo. And you'll be able to roll up your sleeves again and get back to the details of the work that you need to do and go forward with that. So that's, I think, a very positive aspect. Then on July 11th, so next week is going to be pretty heavy here. Mercury moves into Leo, and will be there until the end of July, July 28th. So Leo, the sign, my favorite sign because I am a Leo, and my mother was a Leo. Leo is about self-expression and creativity and joy. So Mercury, that's the planet of thinking and thoughts and taking in information. This could be a really creative time when July 11th comes around and until the end of July. If you are working on something creatively, or you need a spark of creativity, this may be the right time to start in on trying to get that going. What creative juices come with Mercury going into Leo? That creative self-expression, you know, creating your poetry, writing, sculpture, art, whatever it is, that could be a good creative boost. Okay, now then we get into the middle of the month. July 17th and 18th are some big days, okay? On July 17th, we have a new moon. We have a new moon in Cancer at 24 degrees. Cancer is all about the home and the family and the inner feelings and nurturing. And so at that time, you want to make some intentions, perhaps about your home, perhaps about your family, setting forth what are those relationships Cancer is loving and nurturing. Uh, this could be a good time to set forth some intentions about loving and nurturing yourself as well. And I say that because the very next day, on July 18th, the nodes of the moon shift, and they shift signs, and the aspect of them is much more into our feelings of self-worth and relationship with others. So the new moon in Cancer is coming at a really opportune time to think about those intentions to nurture the self, nurture others. So let's break down this July 18th, the nodes of the moon. The nodes of the moon are actually a geometric point. There's no nodes physical that actually exist. They are they're about the ellipsis and the travel of the moon around the Earth. So the North Node represents our destiny and what we need to work on. So in your personal chart, when I would see where the North Node is, I'd say, oh, in your life, this is where you have to do the most work and where you will probably doing a lot of effort to upgrade that area because that is your destiny area. All right. The South Node in your personal chart is going to be where you've come into this life with some skills and some knowledge, which you may not consciously know from previous lives, previous work that you have attained, okay, and done. So the North Node is currently in Taurus, and on July 18th will move into Aries. They move backwards, okay? So it's going to move into the sign of Aries, which is all about the self. It's ruled by Mars. Aries is wanting us to push ourselves to higher, push ourselves forward into progress, into our destiny. So it is about the self. The North Node is about the self, but it also can be about the self in light of the world we live in. And this is more of a collective thing rather than what is happening in your chart. Unless, of course, you were born with the North Node in Aries, then you would be experiencing a nodal return, which could jack up whatever your destiny is, okay? And the energy to push you towards your destiny. The South Node is going to be moving from Scorpio to Libra. So Aries and Libra are on that duality scale. They're opposite each other. Aries is about the self, and Libra is about others, our relationship with others. So for the next year to 18 months that those nodes are in those areas of the astrology, in those signs, Aries and Libra, we could be really looking at our sense of self and our sense of self in connection with others and our relationships. If we're talking about the collective destiny of the people, then what I'm getting from that intuitively is that this could be a very wonderful opportunity where uh, we can reach out to each other, that we start working on more unity and more remembering that our neighbors, even though we may disagree politically or philosophically with some of our neighbors, we're still family because we are all one. We are all one in light of spirit and soul. Our souls go back to the same source. No matter what color our skin is, no matter what sexual orientation we may be, our souls are all connected and they go back to the same source. So maybe, um, and loudly, clairaudently, what I heard these words: me versus we. Are, are we the me, or are we the we? We. So this may be a very interesting, this may be a very interesting aspect that we get into, and I may do another video just on this. All right, so the last aspect that I'm getting to for July is on July 22nd. Venus goes retrograde in the sign of Leo. Venus is already in Leo, and she goes retrograde at 29 degrees. She doesn't even make it out of Leo. She's right near the end, and she stations and turns retrograde. What does this mean? It means, of course, that she's extended her stay in Leo. Usually it's 4 to 6 weeks or something like that, but she'll be there for about 4 months. She'll be there. She'll be in Leo until October 8th. And Venus in Leo. Leo, again, is about self expression and the inner child and creativity and romance. Leo and Venus is about value, self value, what we value. Venus rules relationships, Venus rules money, the money system. A lot of people don't know that, but it's about what we value. So, what I feel is going, and anything retrograde is all about going inside. So, what I feel this will do is it will be about, again, examining our self worth, our self talk, our own values, how we value ourselves, and how we eventually, after we go inward and we are kind of ruminating on that, how we will express it and the beauty of that expression. Because Venus is also about beauty. And Leo is about the sun radiating. Leo is ruled by the sun, it radiates that beauty and that expression. On that same day, the sun moves into Leo. So we've got Venus going retrograde in Leo, and the sun moves into Leo. And of course, Mercury is already going to be in Leo for a few more days anyway, at that point. So I would say starting July 22, Leo's going to be pretty hot. And with all that's going on there in Leo. Very interesting aspects for July. And I think a lot of it has, some of it has to do with our own sense of self worth and the work that we do on ourselves. and then how we express that to the world and how we reach out and develop the relationships in our life. So I think it's an awesome astrology for July. And let me know if you have any comments about that, and if there's a particular aspect there that you want me to do a more in-depth video on. I'm feeling pulled towards the nodes for sure, and perhaps Venus retrograde. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I wish you many blessings. Have a wonderful month of July.